Former Oakland A's star, you were on 7 teams. Jose Canseco is here. Of course, the new documentary is going to premiere on Sunday. It is about your journey with steroids and how Major League Baseball dealt with you. How is this movie different from the book that you wrote, Juiced?
Well, in a lot of ways, it's the same, really. It's really bringing a visual effect to the era from '85 to about 2001. And it's not just on steroids, it's in my life in general.
Sure.
The process, the journey, why I started using PEDs, and the emotions behind it, the people involved, and really putting together the whole puzzle. And I'm sure, after this little docu-film, there will be even more questions that people have out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did I hear you correctly in the movie that in the era that you were in baseball and were using steroids, that they were not illegal to use?
Correct. Not by any way, shape, or form did MLB in any way say they were illegal, stop using them, deny us access. So they were, in our minds, totally legal to use.
Do you
Wow.
still think that there's players now in professional sports that use them and just kind of not?
I think MLB has done a great job of trying to more or less restrict the use of PEDs with the fines they have, with the game suspensions that they actually have now. You would have to be crazy to use PEDs, especially with the salary structures being so great. MLB using the best tactics ever to clean up the game. I think you have to be foolish.
Because if you used them, you'd lose a lot of income.
Well, I think it's a policy, 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. I think after the second or third time, you're completely severed from the game of baseball forever, for a life. So, and I also believe that the risk reward isn't really there. I think that you're risking way too much, and no one really knows what PEDs actually do to each individual.
Right.
We don't really know that a PED is going to make you a superstar baseball player.
Right.
I think there's a huge misconception out there that all of a sudden you can inject PEDs into an average person and they could become, like we see, Captain America.
Superman or something.
Yeah, so it's just ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, because you have to have some kind of skill. You can't just take steroids and become like the greatest ever.
Well, you took steroids, but you also worked on depth perception and your base running and becoming fast and all of that. There's hard work involved in all of this.
Let's make something clear, which I think there is a huge misconception about this. Using PEDs, chemicals, do not give you athletic ability, hand-eye coordination, or depth perception. Nonetheless, they do not help you assimilate information any faster. So I think the misconception is out there that you can inject the average person and he's a Superman, a Captain America, which encompasses all these things. It just doesn't work that way. You have to obviously have incredible natural ability and talent and be able to work hard at it.
In the movie, you went into why you started using them. You talked about how you promised your mom that you were going to become the best baseball player ever. And then one day, it just happened, a friend named Ricky said, you could become stronger, you could try using this, and you said, okay, let's do it. And you did become the best baseball player ever. There was a moment when you were the best baseball player ever in magazines and newspapers and MVP and all of this. But that was the reason why? Because of the promise you made to your mom?
The only reason why, absolutely. If you look at the movie, look at my history, look at who I am, most people have no idea who I am. And my close friends, my family members know that when I make a promise, it's never broken.
Do you think that all professional sports should just kind of almost let them, or go back to, well, let's just kind of, if it's your thing and you use it, let's not make a big deal about it?
Well, I think that's a two-part question. Number one would be, if you ask the fans, what do they think about it? The fans would say, listen, we pay a lot of money. We pay a lot of money in parking, to get into the ballpark, in concessions. We want to see super athletes. We want to see something out of the ordinary. We want to see records being broken right in front of us. We want to be able to tell that story. So I think you would get two separate answers. For the fans, you probably get, we don't really care. Yes, we want to get our money's worth. Not for the purist, meaning ex-athletes or purists of the game. They say, well, the records are being broken too quickly. Our workers are falling so fast. Back then, they would say they didn't have the advantage of PEDs. So you're going to get different answers from a different demographic or time frame of the actual sport.
Makes sense.
I like to go see a good game, and I want to get my money's worth.
Well, I mean,
so.
baseball is not the most exciting sport. When you see
Yes,
somebody
it is.
really
Come on.
knock it out of the park, though, I mean, that is fun. That
it
is
was-
exciting to see.
It was
And
really
you-
great when Barry Bonds was just scoring, and everybody would show up to go see Bonds.
Oh my God, Pac-Bell Park was out of control.
Yeah.
And people went nuts for that.
Yeah, I still think that he is the greatest at hitting, and why take that away from him?
You can't because there's no way of measuring what PDs actually does to each individual person. In other words, you don't have a chart to say, okay, this individual used PDs for 10 or 15 years. We're going to knock off, because we know PDs actually do this, we're going to knock off 25% of his home run total.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. You either allow, for example, the Hall of Fame. I have a big problem with the Hall of Fame and the people who run it, because you have, people who, number one, voting for the Hall of Fame who never played baseball or sports in their life, which is ridiculous. Number two, if they did, it was in another era. And if they did, they didn't play in the PED era, so they don't understand the process that actually happened. And so for me, there are a lot of players right now in the Hall of Fame that use PEDs. There are a bunch of players that will be inducted into Hall of Fame that use PEDs. Now there are a lot of players who use PEDs or even suspected of PEDs who are not going to be even mentioned to enter the Hall of Fame. That is hypocrisy at its best.
Oh yeah. How do you feel about now that it's out there? Do you feel bad about calling Mark McGwire out?
He
Are
was
you guys still
no,
friends?
he was one individual that was part of my life. This wasn't just focused on him. At the point in time, he was, Mark McGwire, one of the best players also. But every player that was involved with me, it was just a story of my life. And if you were involved with me in that time period, you were going to be in this book for sure.
Well, it was a great movie.
It really was a good movie, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the part at the end where you're talking about how at 36 years old with stats in the last 3 years of your career that were better than your first few years when you were getting awards and so forth, to be blackballed like you were. Talk about that. Where did that leave you emotionally?
I'll never forget this. I remember playing for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Gord Ash, at the time, I just finished the season, had 46 home runs, over 100 RBIs, and 29 stolen bases. I can remember that year because, I'll be honest, I didn't use PEDs that year. I only weighed 228 pounds. I was going through a bad breakup with my wife at the time. I actually had a bleeding ulcer, was coughing up blood at the time. And that's why I say I think PEDs are kind of overrated. I think people put too much emphasis on what PEDs can do. But that year, used no PEDs whatsoever, the only year actually. And I can remember by the All-Star break, I was going to accomplish the 40-40 again. The team, or the organization told me, Jose, stop stealing bases. We don't want you stealing bases anymore. I could have done the 40-40 that year. I remember during the off season, that point in time, I think I led the league in home runs or something like that, or second or something like that, and over 100 RBIs, and thinking, okay, in my free agent year, this is where I first felt the sting of being blackballed. And I'm in my weight room. I'll never forget this. I pick up the phone and scored Ash. He says to me, Jose, we have an offer for you. And I'm thinking, at that point in time, players are getting 5-year deals, 8 to 12 million per year guaranteed deal. He calls me, and I'll never forget this. I'm in the actual gym working out in my gym in my house. I pick up the phone and scored Ash. I'm waiting for his phone call. He says, okay, he says, Jose, we have an offer. I said, okay. Okay, what is he? He goes, well, our offer is $1 million.
1 million?
Back then, players with those stats were getting 10 to 12
Yeah.
million per year guarantee. He says, 1 year deal, 1 million. And the kicker, the slap in the face was, you better take this because no one else can offer you anything else.
Wow.
The phone fell out of my hands.
And this was all from naming names and just Major League Baseball being mad.
No, this was way before the book came out. This is when I was still playing.
Oh, I gotcha.
The season after the Toronto Blue Jays, which was 98, after I did 46 home runs, 100 RBIs, could have done the 40-40 again. That right there was the sting. Now, during the off season, I'm playing, I get involved in a lot of charities, playing pro-am charity golf tournaments, and all the players are telling me, you're being blackballed, be careful. And I was the last person that wanted to admit this. And from there on in, I felt the powerful whip of MLB, for sure.
Do you
Major League
think-
Baseball, the most powerful organization that exists, huh?
Yeah. Do you think if you, the leagues, were kind of, I guess, okay with it, if they didn't give you the cold shoulder, would you still be playing now?
At 52?
I mean,
Be realistic, no.
but they blackballed you at a very, very young age.
At
And I
36.
think you still had some time in you. You think you would still be playing? I mean,
Oh, there are a lot of players now that are playing well into their 40s, 42, 43, 44. Would I still be playing? There's no doubt about it. Probably up to about 42 years old.
it's nuts.
Jose Canseco, the new documentary is out on Sunday. We thank you for coming in. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, guys.